All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, man? This is your host of the evening, DJ Just J with the AFC, where we advocate for children first. I'd like to shout you guys out and say thank y'all so much. You guys know I'm actually at camp with my daughter right now, so I appreciate you guys coming in and watching and supporting. If you would, do me a favor and click that thumbs up. What it helps do is to help share this stream and let more people know that we're here talking about this story, okay? So there's a story that happened in the news, and it's really crazy, so I want to warn you guys. The details might not sit well with your sensibility. So if you can't handle that, I understand if you need to exit the video. But for everybody else who wants to hear the story and hear what happened to the little boy that you see on my screen right there was absolutely horrendous. It was pointless. And I'm going to say some things that may or may not sit well with your sensibilities as far as my opinion. Now, there's a Texas woman who has been arrested in connection with the death of her boyfriend's 5-year-old son, and she was fleeing to Louisiana when she was arrested in a motel room with the child's decomposing body stuffed in a plastic bin that they got from Walmart. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some more details about that. So the little boy that you see on my screen right there, his name is Samuel Olson, and this beautiful baby boy was only 5 years old. Okay, now the woman that he was left with is the woman that you see on my screen right there, that little demon right there. Her name is Teresa Balboa, and she is 29 years old, even though she looked like she's good 49, but she's 29, and she was transferred on Friday from Jasper County to Houston to face a charge of tampering with evidence, a human corpse stemming from the death of Samuel Olson. But I will tell you guys this, as they get some more details, her charges are going to probably go through the roof. So just bear with us on that, okay? Now, Balboa did not appear in court for a probable cause hearing because she was in a mental health unit at the jail. And you guys know how I feel about mental health. If you don't know, my saying and my opinion is that mental health should not be used as an excuse to commit murder, especially against children. Okay, but in a lot of cases, they allow that to be used to lessen the charges against people. But we'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. The judge set her bail at $500,000. Yes, you heard that right. She actually got a bail. Her bail is set at $500,000 after deeming her a flight risk because she was previously out on bond stemming from a domestic violence charge, believe it or not. So we'll get back to that. In asking for a high bond amount, prosecutors wrote in a motion for bail that Balboa also was a flight risk because she was on her way to Louisiana with this baby boy's body when she was apprehended in Tuesday in Jasper, Texas by the police. Now, if Balboa is released on bond, which we're going to just pray and hope that she is not, she will be required to wear a GPS ankle monitor, remain under house arrest, and have no contact with any children. But like I said, we're hoping that that bond gets denied, or maybe it's put so high, maybe a couple $1 million. It's a formality at this point. We really don't think that most people have the ability to gather $500,000, let alone 10% of that, but I digress. These new developments come in less than 24 hours after disturbing details emerged concerning the circumstances of this little boy's death, suggesting that Balboa had been hiding the child's body for 2 weeks. Let's absorb that for a moment. How deranged and how sick a person has to be to not only what we believe to cause this baby boy's death, but to hold the dead body of this child for 2 weeks, including in a bathtub, before reporting him missing. A body believed to let me read that again. A body believed to belong to Samuel, who would have turned 6 years old on Saturday, was found in Balboa's motel room on Tuesday. Balboa was arrested after a tip led cops to where she allegedly was seen carrying a foul-smelling plastic bin containing the child's corpse into her hotel room. Now, the child's father, by the name of Dalton Olson, which you guys will see him on video. If you haven't seen him on video, you got to watch the full interview on that. It's really interesting. He said, "I don't know what's going on, and I can barely breathe. Why? He loved you so much. I don't understand what happened. Why did you or why did you do this? Samuel's parents had been involved in a bitter custody battle after filing for divorce in January of last year. His mother, by the name of Sarah Olson, had primary custody, but she had not seen Samuel since summer of 2020, her lawyer said. And Gonzalez accused Dalton Olson, the father, of keeping Samuel from his mother and avoiding being served court paperwork that would have ordered him to return. Just a crazy court. I really hate when parents have to do that type of stuff to each other. It only hurts the kid. Okay? Now, let's skip through some of this. He had nothing to do with the death of his son, according to Samuel Venestra, who was an attorney for the dad. The family is in mourning, shocked, and in disbelief. The lawyer said he doesn't think Samuel had been living with Balboa, but when asked if the boy had been living with his father at the time he was reported missing, he said, "I don't know how to answer your questions to this one. There's nothing in place on the family case that says that Sam could or could not go around." Balboa has been charged with evidence tampering after she had been discovered with the body, and more serious charges are expected, like we talked about earlier. Now, Samuel was last seen alive with his paternal grandmother by the name of Tanya Olson, who says she spent the weekend with him on May the 8th and reported him and was reported missing by Balboa on May the 27th. Now, according to court documents submitted Thursday, Balboa allegedly told her roommate on May the 10th that Samuel was dead before she reported him missing. Bookmark that. The roommate reportedly told police that upon returning to their apartment from work, he found the boy on the bed, bruised and unresponsive. Please bookmark that. We'll come back to it. Balboa and the roommate then allegedly moved the body to their bathtub, where they left it for 2 days. On May the 13th, the roommate, who has not been named, which is really odd, says that he purchased duct tape and a plastic bin from Walmart, then wrapped up the boy and placed him in the bin before he and Balboa moved him into a storage facility in Webster, Texas. According to court document, hashtag, not my words, that's from court documents. So if you guys will take note of that, then you also have to wonder why they haven't publicized this person's name, his face, and let alone that, why haven't they announced charges against him? Because he helped participate in at least hiding the body. So that's really strange that this process is kind of taking so long. So if we know that, then I have no idea why he hasn't been named or arrested. Now, Balboa was arrested on Tuesday after she was discovered with the plastic bin, which had a foul smell, in a hotel room, and she is likely facing more serious charges after the body has been identified and a cause of death has been determined. Police were led to Balboa after she reportedly called a friend on Monday and asked him to pick her up at a Walmart parking lot in Cleveland. Then the two drove nearly 70 miles south to retrieve the bin at the storage facility. That is insane. Then they reportedly drove another 160 miles northeast to a Best Western in Jasper. Once there, they carried the bin inside room 106 when the man was so horrified by the smell coming from it that he made an anonymous call to Crime Stoppers, which that's good. But I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know how he didn't notice that prior. Maybe trying to save his own behind. I think that should be looked into. Maybe even charges should be faced against him as well. But it's unclear when that call was made, but cops raided the motel the next day and found the bin in the room with Balboa nearby in the bathroom. Upon removing the lid, which was secured with zip ties, police said that to have found a small boy stuffed inside a black plastic bag and wrapped with duct tape, which the roommate helped do. Again, don't know why he's not arrested. But cops arrested Balboa shortly after. Meanwhile, it emerged on Wednesday night that Balboa previously lost custody of her 2 young daughters in 2019 over claims that she was a bad mom. Please, I want you guys to bookmark that. She previously lost custody of her 2 young daughters. That is a very key indicator that something is wrong. Now, court records obtained by the news revealed that the girls, now ages 6 and 8, were removed from their mom's care after she failed to show up to court for a custody hearing. The father of Balboa's children was also a no-show, and the children were given to a family member who was appointed as their guardian. Now, the woman told the station that Balboa was not taking good care of her daughters. She wasn't born to be a mom. Wow. Shortly before the discovery of the child's body and Balboa's arrest, Tim Miller, the founder of the volunteer search group Texas EquiSearch, which you guys have heard me talk about that a lot, because what they do is they go out whenever a child is reported missing. They are volunteers that help go out and try to find these missing children, so I want to shout them out. But Texas EquiSearch was said to have confronted the woman about apparent inconsistencies in her story concerning Samuel's disappearance. I told her, I said, "I am so disappointed in you," Miller told the news. I said, "You know, every word you're saying is a lie." And that's when things started unraveling, I think. Balboa, who at the time was out on bond stemming from a domestic violence incident, was the one who reported the child missing on May the 27th. So if you guys have followed the channel for long enough, you know that we just recently did a couple of stories that were similar to this, and I'll show you guys the news video. One being the story out of Las Vegas, where the mom's boyfriend was actually murdered the little boy that was missing, which is really, really sad. So this seems to be almost like a theme. It's really sad. Now, the boy's last verified sighting by someone outside of his family was on April the 30th at a school. When cops first investigated Samuel's disappearance, Balboa had claimed that Samuel's mother, Sarah Olson, and a person dressed as a police officer showed up and took the boy from the home. Sarah Olson said through her attorney that she didn't know the whereabouts of her son, that despite having primary custody of him. Bookmark that. She had been denied access to him by his father since January of 2020 and not seen him since last summer. Balboa is currently jailed in Jasper County, but she will be returned to Houston to face evidence tampering as of right now, but we expect for more charges to come along with that. Now, Houston Assistant Police Chief Heather Morris said during a press conference on Wednesday that more charges are possible once an autopsy is complete. So that way, again, if you guys are not familiar, we've talked about this a lot on the channel, that when they get an official cause of death, so if they label this a homicide, meaning an intentional murder, then they're going to charge her as such, or at least based on the evidence. That's what we expect. Now, court records uncovered by the news that indicate Balboa was charged with an assault of a family member and pending breathing in November 2020 after she allegedly choked Dalton Olson. Wow. Olson was said to have been issued an emergency protective order against her, barring her from having direct contact with the victim or any family member of his, which should have included the children. When asked about the order prior to the discovery of the body in the motel, Olson said that he and Balboa have since reconciled. I don't know how you say that word. I'm sorry. I know I'm not really great with my English sometimes. Reconciled. And that the choking incident had nothing to do with his son, who was not present during that altercation. Olson further defended Balboa, saying that she had been helping him care for his son while he was at work. And I'm going to tell you guys, I find it really strange when something happens to a child and their significant other, especially when the person is implicated in something like this. That's the word I'm looking for. And something like this, like she is, I find it very weird when people come out and start trying to defend them. But let me show you guys the news videos, and let me give you the fair usage. We'll go ahead and get started. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Also, if you guys are watching this video, if you would, please do me a favor and click the thumbs up. It will help share this video, help share this baby boy's story and let more people know that we're here so that way we can get the word out there and potentially get some justice in this story, okay? Let's go ahead and get started.
At first tonight, we got breaking news. Police believe they may have found the body of 6-year-old Samuel Olson.
He has been the focus of a massive search effort since last week. Now, sources close to the investigation confirmed to us tonight Houston police are headed to Jasper, Texas, where the body of a young boy was found today. Here's a look at the scene. This is outside a motel in Jasper. You can see there is a lot of police officers out there, some yellow tape blocking off several rooms. Now, the search for the little boy has been confusing and unsettling. We've been telling you Samuel Olson was reported missing last Thursday, but his school says they haven't seen him since April 30th. Police say they have been told different stories from different family members and just couldn't determine who was telling the truth.
Tonight, our Matt Doherty has just arrived at that motel in Jasper. Matt, what can you tell us?
Yeah, we are finding out that a source close to the investigation is confirming for us that they believe that investigators are investigating the death of the boy at this hotel room. That's 6-year-old Samuel Olson. I want to give you a look at what's happening out here at the Best Western Inn here in Jasper, Texas. Over here you can kind of get an idea of the law enforcement presence out here this evening. We are told that this happened a couple of hours ago is when this discovery was made. Here's just a look at some of the Jasper County Sheriff's deputies, also Jasper Police Department officers, and some others here who are investigating this case right now. Now, we are told that the mother of the 6-year-old boy was notified sometime earlier that this discovery had been made here at this motel. She apparently may be en route to this location, possibly to identify the boy. However, we do not know that for sure. We do know that she was notified earlier that this discovery had been made over here at this hotel. On this side, you can see that some of the law enforcement officers are sort of focusing some of their efforts here at this side of the motel. Don't know which room specifically they're looking at, but they are, it appears, going into one of these doors over here. We don't know exactly what time this discovery was made or who made the discovery. Local officials here have not returned any of our calls and have not been telling us what may have led up to this finding. However, we do have that one source of ours who is close to the investigation who is telling us that they believe that investigators here think that the body of 6-year-old Samuel Olson has been found. Of course, we're going to continue to follow this story throughout the night, and we're going to bring you updates in our coming newscasts online as well, but also certainly in the morning. Reka, back to you.
Oh, wow. Matt, this is a heartbreaking development. Of course, there's still...
A heartbreaking ending today in the search for little Samuel Olson. The dinosaur-loving 6-year-old found dead in room 106 at a Texas Best Western motel 130 miles from home.
Police say they are questioning a possible suspect in Samuel's disappearance and death.
In police custody is Samuel's father's girlfriend, Teresa Balboa. She was found in the motel room with Sam's body stuffed inside a tote bag.
It is absolutely heartbreaking, absolutely. And as far as a motive, we do not have a motive at this point in time.
The girlfriend has been under suspicion since giving a bizarre TV interview claiming that Sam had been abducted by his mother and a guy posing as a cop.
I was going to take Sam to school when his mother showed up with a police officer, or what I was under the impression to be a police officer.
Now, if you guys remember the story from Las Vegas, this is almost identical. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to back this up and let you guys hear this again. I might put this particular interview up in its entirety, but I want you guys to notice how similar this is to that Las Vegas case, okay? So let's back this up. Let me let you guys hear this again.
Or what I was under the impression to be a police officer, and they demanded me to release Sam. They said I would go to jail because I have no rights to him, so I had no choice but to hand him over.
Let's back that up. I want y'all to hear this again, and I want y'all to remember that Las Vegas case where mom's boyfriend was saying that some mysterious family member was supposed to come by, didn't know where they lived, but somehow found where he lived, knocked on the door and said, "Get the boy's stuff together. I'm his family member, and I'm going to take him to, I guess, the dad's side of the family." I don't know. It was really weird. But, throughout that interview, the boyfriend was acting really weird. His body language was all wrong. So if you guys have never watched the video on body language, you probably want to do that. I know the FBI actually put out a video about body language. So that might actually be, what do they call it, educational for you guys to watch. But let me let you guys hear this one more time. As unbelievable as this is.
Abducted by his mother and a guy posing as a cop.
I was going to take Sam to school when his mother showed up with a police officer, or what I was under the impression to be a police officer, and they demanded me to release Sam. They said I would go to jail because I have no rights to him, so I had no choice but to hand him over.
She stood side by side with Samuel's father, Dalton, as he made an emotional appeal for his son's safe return.
I just want to bring my son home safely.
Find Sam and bring him back.
I can't even think. I can't sleep. I can't hold down any food. I'm just concerned because that's the most important thing in my whole life.
Micah Hatfield is a reporter with KTRK-TV in Houston.
She called Samuel her baby. She said that she worked with him on his schooling. She told us that he called her super mommy. We didn't see many tears from her during that time.
Samuel's devastated grandmother joined in the search for the boy who loved the movie Toy Story.
Everybody loves you and misses you. We're going to see you soon, honey. I promise. I promise, Sam. I promise.
As the investigation continued, the girlfriend's story began to fall apart. It turns out Samuel hadn't been seen in a month.
I can't say where he could be, where he might be.
Yesterday, the girlfriend reportedly vanished from sight. A tipster spotted her at the Best Western and called cops. Balboa has been charged with interfering with a court.
So I want you guys to also notice that somebody saw something and said something. So I want to say thank you and shout out to those Good Samaritans who did that. Otherwise, we might be completely in the dark about this story because she had every intention of making sure that nobody ever found this baby boy.
Corpse, but more serious charges are expected.
Been gathering new details all day today in the case of a missing 6-year-old boy.
New court documents reveal that Samuel Olson had been dead 2 weeks before he was reported missing.
And we do have an update just into our newsroom. The autopsy on the body, believed to be Olson, found in a Jasper motel room, will be done right here in Harris County, not Jefferson County.
According to HPD, the body is now in Houston at the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, where an autopsy will be performed to confirm the identity and the cause of death.
Meanwhile, we do continue to dig into those court documents and the case against Olson's father's girlfriend, Teresa Balboa. Our Brandon Walker live in downtown Houston with those new details. Brandon?
And Dominique, that criminal complaint also includes the account of a sergeant from the Jasper Police Department who, according to that document, had to pry open a black tote with a yellow lid on it. It had zip ties securing it. According to the document, he used his flashlight to see what was inside. He saw a black plastic bag, and in that black plastic bag, a body. A black box with a yellow lid sat near the front door of room 106 at the Best Western Inn of Jasper. This as a swarm of investigators worked leads to tell them what, if not who, was inside. Those details outlined in this criminal complaint against Teresa Balboa.
I had no choice but to hand him over.
Balboa's alibi, Monday, May 31st, which, according to the case against her, was a lie. That day, in the thick of a search through high grass for little Samuel in Webster, court documents allege, Balboa showed up with Samuel's father, handed out flyers, then fled. The field is across the street from an apartment Balboa shared with the roommate. Benjamin Rivera is his name. Quote, Rivera stated that on or about May 10th, 2021, he was called by Balboa, who allegedly told him little Samuel was dead. Quote, Rivera stated that he and Balboa placed Samuel's corpse in a bathtub where he remained for 2 days. Rivera told investigators he purchased duct tape and a plastic tote on May 13th from Walmart, eventually driving the body to a storage unit in Webster. But Rivera isn't accused of driving Balboa to Jasper with the boy's body. That's another person who also tipped off Crime Stoppers after doing so. That's how police were able to get directly to room 106 with Balboa inside the bathroom next to a box holding the body. Timestamp, Tuesday, 5:34 p.m. They brought Balboa outside, ID'd her, then asked several times, where was Samuel? Balboa allegedly told a sergeant from the Jasper Police Department, quote, the complainant was inside the box. And by about 6 o'clock Tuesday evening, Houston police had been notified, or at least within the 6 o'clock hour, and now here we are days later. That account also says that that second person there, that second man who drove from Webster to Jasper, was outside of the motel room. He spoke to investigators saying that he did drive from the storage facility to Jasper with Balboa, and surveillance video does show that man bringing items into the motel room. Tonight, though, again, we reiterate, only one person faces a charge. That's Teresa Balboa of tampering with evidence, although tonight she remains in Jasper. We have learned she is not being returned to Harris County tonight. That may happen tomorrow. Stay tuned. Live downtown.
That is so weird how we don't immediately have charges. I don't really know what they're waiting on with that other individual, but got a couple more videos. Let me show you guys these next two news videos, and then I'll give y'all my closing thoughts.
Zero in now on the girlfriend of little Sam Olson's father. Her name is Teresa Balboa.
She's the person who claims to have last seen the boy 5 days ago. And today, Houston police tried to get answers from Balboa's mother.
Roseanne Aragon continues our live team coverage tonight. She is live outside Balboa's mother's home in Southwest Houston.
Roseanne, we understand that woman just arrived back home. So what did she have to say about all these new developments?
Right. I spoke with Teresa Balboa's mother, who says police came to talk with her late last night just to see if she was okay. She just got home. She had no idea about the latest developments and had no idea that police were trying to get in touch with her today. In Southwest Houston, a police presence here on McAvoy Drive near Birdwood Road.
We've seen activity. I've seen police cars around, which is good.
For hours Tuesday, Houston police waited to attempt a search at the home of Teresa Balboa's mother here in Southwest Houston. Balboa is the girlfriend of Samuel Olson's father, Dalton Olson. Today, Dalton's mother, the paternal grandmother of Sam, spoke out.
Dalton is not a bad father. He would never harm that baby. He loves him to death. He would die for him.
Police today efforted getting more information from Balboa's mother's home and from neighbors, but investigators didn't get far. No one was home. No search. Neighbors, though, welcomed the investigation.
I think it's important to get as much backstory as they possibly can.
Now, Balboa's mother tells me that she has not heard from her daughter since yesterday and says that she's always with Dalton, so she just assumed that was the case. Reporting live.
For the first time, the father of Balboa's two daughters is revealing new insight into her troubled past. Only ABC 13's Jessica Willey.
And Jessica, he told you that this situation...
And this is the part that I want you guys to hear before I give my closing thoughts. So I'm going to let the video play.
Scares him?
Yeah, Alex Rizzo says Teresa Balboa, the one he knew, was a good mother. He admits their relationship was unhealthy, sometimes even abusive. But while he says he's on a better path, she's in jail.
To know that somebody I loved, cared for, did that to a child, it hurts. It scares me.
There was a time when Alex Rizzo knew Teresa Balboa the best. They were together for at least 10 years. She is the mother of his two daughters.
I've known that girl for a long time, and I know that she's had problems. I know that she's had a difficult life, but you never think, I would never have thought something of this magnitude would ever happen.
Alex says they broke up 4 years ago. It was far from amicable. He moved to North Dakota and then Oklahoma for work. 2 months ago, he reached out to her to see if she needed help.
While I'm in the position that I'm in, let me help you do better so that our kids can have their parents. And she went MIA.
In 2019, Teresa lost custody of their children. She didn't even show up to court. They are now being raised by their grandmother, little girls 8 and 6 years old.
Here's the part that I would like to know with regard to their relationship, because if I'm not mistaken, what I read earlier, I could be wrong, so I want to preface that before I say this. I think they both missed their custody hearing. I think that's a very, very bad sign, even on the dad, even though he didn't do anything to this boy that you see on the screen right now, to Samuel Olson. He didn't do anything to him, but I still think that looks really, really bad, the fact that you have a custody hearing. I don't know what you had going on in your life that was more important than your children, or why you missed the court date. I would have loved for him to explain that, but this case is not about him. But I just thought I'd give you my thought on that.
Around Samuel Olson's age.
All I've thought about since I found out about it is my kid in that poor, my children in that poor little boy. Like, to be dragged around in a bag in a box as if you're just a freaking trophy. That kills me for that little boy. That kills me for that mother. That kills me for that father. If he had nothing to do with it, then that kills me for him as a dad.
The 30-year-old says on either May 23rd or 24th, 2 weeks after police now believe Sam had died, Teresa contacted him.
She just called me out of nowhere and said, "Hey, is the offer to still come up there open?" I told her, "No, not anymore." And then she stopped replying. From what I've heard on the case, she had already done what she had did. And she had that little boy wherever she had him and was trying to use me to run away from it.
Instead, according to court records, she turned to a male friend in San Jacinto County who helped her get to Jasper before giving her up. The 29-year-old, who also has a son from a previous relationship, remains in jail, accused in Sam's death.
She's convicted of killing that child. I hope she gets the worst things that could possibly happen to her. That's a child and she's a mother. That little boy was younger than my daughter is.
Now, I do agree with him on that, so I'm glad he said that. But guys, let me give y'all my closing thoughts. First of all, let me say this, because I know the dad probably is not going to like me saying this, but I'm very honest about my thoughts and opinions. There should have been no reason for this woman to even have him in her possession for any reason. Not for a minute, not for a day, not for an hour. It is very important that we start to do background checks on the people who we are dealing with, especially if you are considering having that person around your children. This is a clear example of that. So let me point out why. If he would have looked up her record, he would have noticed that she already had incidents that were on her record that you could go and verify. That alone should let him know not to have your kid around him. Second thing is, whatever it takes between the biological mother and biological father to work that out, it's usually better for the children. Otherwise, if we're not going to take that step, if we feel like what we have between each other is that toxic, then we really have to rethink and be smarter about having children. Because one thing we cannot do is put these children in precarious situations. They cannot speak for themselves, nor can they defend themselves against the tyranny of dad's girlfriend. Okay? So this is a really, really sad story, but I do hope that we do get the full justice under law. They're going to do an autopsy, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to find out some pretty bad stuff. Sometimes we find blunt force trauma, or maybe even worse, but we'll see. We'll find out those details here pretty soon. Once we get that information, we'll do an update, and we'll let you guys know what's going on. But like I say, I think this is a pretty solid case that they have against her. But we also want to say, especially for us out here in the surrounding area in that state, we want to make sure that the man that helped her not only go buy the materials, but help place the body in the bag, zip it up, move it, transport, because especially when you're moving across state lines, I think that also could be a federal charge as well. He absolutely needs to be arrested and do time for what he did, okay? So we need to make sure he gets justice on both of those people, all right? I'm DJ Just Jay. I thank you guys so much. We're mobile right now, but I thank you guys so much for listening with an open mind and an open heart. From my heart to yours, I thank you guys so much. If you would, please make sure to hit the like button, share this story, let people know about the story, and let people know that Samuel Olson's life meant something. That 5-year-old little boy could have grown up and became anything. And I definitely know that he deserves to have his memory preserved. Beautiful little boy. Young Olson, Samuel Olson, 5 years old, young Prince, R.I.P.